Woo! I don't know how loud I can clap because I'm outside, but let's get it. Great morning, live from San Antonio. There's the forest out there. We're at the JW Marriott Resort for the Future President's Team Retreat training with Herbalife Nutrition. So I wanted to show you guys our view. It's really green out here in San Antonio, so it's beautiful. I wanted to show you guys live getting these nuggets in with y'all. So, ooh, look at that. It's huge out here. There's like a river over there. Over beyond those trees, they made like a little river. We just got back from the gym working out. The gym was packed. You know how Herbalifers do it. So let's get it. Today we got a great video by Barack Obama. Let me get in better position because the light comes from that way. I wanted to give you guys a view, but then the light blocks me out. So, well, let's get it. So today we got an amazing Triple M top 10 success tools and rules by Barack Obama, the first African-American president of the United States. He was a lawyer in the past. Also was, worked inside of his community in the Chicago area in his past. And not only that, he took the United States from 2008. Think about it. 2008 was one of the biggest economic turndowns of, U.S. history outside probably the Great Depression, which was almost just as bad. Not as bad, but almost there. First African-American president. So all these things inside of all that at one time and turned around. You look now, 8 years later, things are doing great. So not only that, I was also able to read some of his books as he was starting in office, and I really respect and admire his background, being a social activist in the Chicago area. He was a teacher for a time. He's biracial. He's black and white. And, just to see what he's done coming from his background and then doing what he's done in 8 years. Sometimes I think if you ever look at a picture of Barack Obama, look at him when he started and look at him now, a lot more white hairs, and that's probably because he had a lot on his plate. Imagine taking on pretty much the world, because as the U.S. is leading also the world economy as well, or being a big leader inside of that at such a tough time, on top of being the first African-American president, on top of all these things that were going on, people claiming that he wasn't even a U.S. citizen. So I'm just really excited to hear what his tools for success are, because he not only talked about success, he did it by example. So let's get into it. Top 10 rules for success by Barack Obama. Y'all ready for these nuggets? Let's get it. Get your notebooks out. Can't wait to hear from what you guys got to say, and then we'll hear from some more live nuggets from San Antonio Future Press Team Retreat. And now it wants me to fill out a survey. I don't know why. Let's get it. Skip. Boom.
We advanced.
Inaugurated as president on January 20th, 2009.
He's Barack Obama, and here are his top 10 rules for success.
We have looked at a whole slew of problems when we came into office, and we've said, where can we advance the ball down the field each and every time across the board? And we don't score a touchdown every time, but we move the ball forward.
Do you feel like you've hit the metrics that you wanted to hit, even within?
You're always going to fall short, because if you're hitting your marks, that means you didn't set them high enough.
That's what hope is. Imagining and then fighting for and then working for what did not seem possible before. That's leadership. John F. Kennedy didn't look up at the moon and say, oh, that's too far. We can't go. False hopes. Martin Luther King didn't stand on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and say, go home, everybody. The dream's deferred. False hopes. Y'all need a reality check. There is a moment in the life of every generation when that spirit of hopefulness has to come through if we are to make our mark on history.
We too often let the external, the material things serve as indicators that we're doing well, even though something inside us tells us that we're not doing our best, that we're avoiding that which is hard but also necessary, that we're shrinking from rather than rising to the challenges of the age. And the thing is, in this new hyper-competitive age, none of us can afford to be complacent. That's true whatever profession you choose. Professors might earn the distinction of tenure, but that doesn't guarantee that they'll keep putting in the long hours and late nights and have the passion and the drive to be great educators. The same principle is true in your personal life. Being a parent is not just a matter of paying the bills, doing the bare minimum. It's not just bringing a child into the world that matters, but the acts of love and sacrifice it takes to raise and educate that child and give them opportunity.
The one thing that I feel deeply about, and this is something I'll feel deeply about when I leave government, is stuff gets better if we work at it and we stay focused on where we're going. It doesn't immediately get all solved. And I warned against this when I was running for office, because everybody had the hope posters and the this and the that, and everybody was feeling like,
hey,
man,
we didn't make those, you made those.
No.
What are you blaming us?
No.
That wasn't us.
No, I like the poster.
I'm pretty sure that came from you.
It was a nice poster. No, but what I'm saying is that if you look at what I said at the time, I said, this is going to be an ongoing project, and it's a project of citizens. It's not just fix it. It's how do we work together to get things done, and it will be imperfect.
Yes.
But over time, is it better? And here's the thing I can say, John.
Yes.
I can say this unequivocally. The VA is better now than when I came into office. It is better now than when I came into office. Government works better than when I came into office. The economy, by every metric, is better than when I came into office. And so the reason I can sleep at night is I say to myself, you know what? It's better. Now, am I satisfied with it? No. And should voters be satisfied with it? Absolutely not, because otherwise, if we get complacent and lazy, then stuff doesn't happen. You just don't succeed in any endeavor unless you've got a team that's been supporting you. And that's part of my political philosophy. It's really based on my own experience, which was, if somebody hadn't been out there looking out for me, starting with my mom, my grandmother, my grandfather, then I wouldn't have made it. It wasn't because of my brilliance or something that these things happen. It had to do with people investing in you. And so we've got to make sure we're investing in the next generation just like somebody invested in us.
I want to highlight two main problems with that old, tired, me-first approach to life. First of all, it distracts you from what's truly important. And it may lead you to compromise your values and your principles and your commitments. Think about it. It's in chasing titles and status, in worrying about the next election, rather than the national interest and the interests of those who you're supposed to represent, that politicians so often lose their ways in Washington. They spend time thinking about polls, but not about principle. It was in pursuit of gaudy short-term profits and the bonuses that came with them that so many folks lost their way on Wall Street, engaging in extraordinary risks with other people's money. In contrast, the leaders we revere, the businesses and institutions that last, they are not generally the result of a narrow pursuit of popularity or personal advancement, but of devotion to some bigger purpose, the preservation of the Union, or the determination to lift a country out of a depression, the creation of a quality product, a commitment to your customers, your workers, your shareholders, and your community, a commitment to make sure that an institution like ASU is inclusive and diverse and giving opportunity to all. That's the hallmark of real success.
We know that too many young men in our community continue to make bad choices. And I have to say, growing up, I made quite a few myself. Sometimes I wrote off my own failings as just another example of the world trying to keep a black man down. I had a tendency sometimes to make excuses for me not doing the right thing. But one of the things that all of you have learned over the last 4 years is there's no longer any room for excuses. I understand there's a common fraternity creed here at Morehouse. Excuses are tools of the incompetent used to build bridges to nowhere and monuments of nothingness. Well, we've got no time for excuses. Not because the bitter legacy of slavery and segregation have vanished entirely, they have not. Not because racism and discrimination no longer exist. We know those are still out there. It's just that in today's hyper-connected, hyper-competitive world with millions of young people from China and India and Brazil, many of whom started with a whole lot less than all of you did, all of them entering the global workforce alongside you, nobody is going to give you anything that you have not earned. Nobody cares how tough your upbringing was. Nobody cares if you suffered some discrimination. And moreover, you have to remember that whatever you've gone through, it pales in comparison to the hardships previous generations endured, and they overcame them. And if they overcame them, you can overcome them too.
Part of the way you survive the stress of the White House is being able to laugh with your team about some of the crazy stuff that happens. And you know, you can't take yourself too seriously. You have to take the job seriously. You have to take your responsibilities seriously, but you know, you have to be able to laugh at yourself first and foremost in order to be able to manage the whole thing.
You have to have a plan. You have to have a strategy. And then you have to have stick-to-itness, because you know that the strategy is not going to immediately bear fruit. The American character is one that lurches between spasm and trance. We get real exercise for about 2 weeks, and then we fall asleep for 2 years. And what Charles Hamilton Houston understood is that our vision extends decades, extends generations. And those young men I talked about, we may not be able to reach them right now, but I tell you what, if we set the trend lines just a little bit better, then the infant that's crying in Compton or Harlem or Anacostia or the Ninth Ward, that infant may have a different future. And then when that infant has a different future, the country has a different future. And then we as a people have a different future. So there's got to be an understanding of how time can actually help us move mountains if we're working with time. We're not waiting for time. We're working with it.
You may have setbacks and you may have failures, but you're not done. You're not even getting started. Not by a long shot. And if you ever forget that, just look to history. Thomas Paine was a failed corset maker, a failed teacher, and a failed tax collector before he made his mark on history with a little book called Common Sense that helped ignite a revolution. Julia Child didn't publish her first cookbook until she was almost 50. Colonel Sanders didn't open up his first Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was in his 60s. Winston Churchill was dismissed as little more than a has-been who enjoyed scotch a little bit too much before he took over as prime minister and saw Great Britain through its finest hour. No one thought a former football player stocking shelves at the local supermarket would return to the game he loved, become a Super Bowl MVP, and then come here to Arizona and lead your Cardinals to their first Super Bowl. Your body of work is never done. Each of them, at one point in their life, didn't have any title or much status to speak of. But they had passion, a commitment to following that passion wherever it would lead, and to working hard every step along the way.
Thank you so much for watching. We made this video because Jerome A. asked us to. So if there's a famous entrepreneur that
Okay, dope. Massive nuggets. Massive nuggets. Welcome everybody to the call that was tuning in during Barrack's top 10 rules. So we're gonna get into a few shares. I'm gonna share a few, then I'm excited to hear you guys share a few, and then gonna give you just maybe one or two nuggets that we've already gotten from San Antonio live here. So let's start with a couple ones first. So a couple ones that jumped out at me are number one, stop making excuses. This is really big to me, because he said, I really liked how for himself he was transparent in talking about how he had made excuses himself. And I made a lot of mistakes, how he made a lot of mistakes himself, and how I made a lot of mistakes. And it's like, nobody's perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. Made a lot of mistakes. And at a time, I did blame everything else but me. You know, the system trying to keep a black man down, or, you know, Roxy's laughing because she thinks I'm not black. But whatever it is, you know, shout out to the brothers. Now I'm half black, half Mexican. But whatever it was, you know, guys are just meant to be this way. You know, my family was this way, or I saw people do this, or my neighborhood's this, or whatever it is, was the excuse I used. You know, I got broken up with, so I'm going to just do knucklehead stuff. I was looking for an excuse. But at the end of the day, excuses and results can't live in the same place. You cannot have excuses and results in the same place. And he said, in this hyper-connected world, as people are entering the workforce and as people are entering, you know, the marketplace, you got to remember China, Brazil, India, Africa, Mexico. As everything is becoming hyper-connected, one thing that's becoming a reality is it's no longer the people in your neighborhood that are your competition for that job, for that client, for that partner, for that whatever. It's now a worldwide connected community. So that means I get it all the time. I have people hit Roxy and I up for coaching in all cities all over the country and all over the world. And I know they're probably going to a gym somewhere, and the trainer there is like, what the heck are they doing working with some online coach? I could see that going through their head, because I have trainers at the gym I go to look at me like, I know they're working with some people in here. And I'm thinking like, why don't you come ask me what I'm doing? And it's because it doesn't matter where you're at. Your competition isn't just in your neighborhood. So it doesn't really matter the situations you're in. Doesn't matter how you grew up. Doesn't matter what had it around you. I want you to think to yourself, and this is something I always got to remember. Is there somebody that had it worse? Less resources, less family around, less finances, less opportunity, that was more successful? Think to yourself. Was there somebody trying to do what I want to do that had less than I did and still did it? And if there is, there's no excuse. None whatsoever, because it was done. So that means it's possible. And if it's possible, you can do it because you're also a human being. It's just going to be excuses or results. Think about it. And when I thought about that, I was like, damn, ever think why foreign-born people that come to America are 4 times more likely to become millionaires than American-born citizens? You know why? Because they've already come from the tough circumstances. They already know they ain't got no excuses, because just to get here, they had to have no excuses. Just to get in the game, they had to have no excuses. And then you got people here with all kind of excuses that have every resource, every single thing. I've seen it 1,000 times. People physically gifted, mentally gifted, socially gifted, family gifted, live in the best places, have all the tools, and they got every excuse in the book. And then I see somebody come up with no home, no family, no resources, no finances, and just hungry. And come out there. That's why I love Herbalife, to be honest. I came into this company, I started seeing people like used to clean homes, used to live in my car, used to be a waiter, and they were just hungry. And then I'd see people that, oh yeah, I got my 4-year degree and I got this cushy job and I'm just here chilling. I was like, what the heck are y'all doing? There's so much out here to be gotten, but the basic fire must come from no excuse mentality. And that's what I get fired up about, because if you really get the point of that, you'll understand why right now it's never going to go back to a community-based competition. It's only going to get more globally connected. So you got to step your game up. I got to step my game up. I'm out here at this future press team retreat. There's President's team members making 6 figures and above at the gym before me. I'm like, what the heck? I got to step my game up, baby. That's all there is to it. All right, so I think that was my point. I went a little over on that. I'm going to leave room for a few other points. Who's got a point? Give me a smile, thumbs up. Chef MJ, let's get it. We cater to you big couple.
What up, guys? Good morning, everyone. Good morning, you guys. All the way from San Antonio, bro.
Hey.
I got 2 of them. One of them was keep the ball moving. He said, if you reached your cuts, you didn't aim high enough. That, like, sunk into me. I was like, dang, like, I'm reaching for something, and I hit it, and I was happy that I hit it. Now I'm like, I got to reach higher if I want to, you know, be even more successful. Another one you took it was stop making excuses. That's what it comes down to. Like with supervisor school, everything with everything's my fault. If I didn't make that cut, it was my fault. If I didn't hit the 10K org, it was my fault. So like, just gotta really stop making excuses and work. Just work, grind.
Let's get it. Take responsibility. No excuses. My fault kind of mentality. I love it. Because when you're successful, it's also my fault. Write this down on your paper. Everybody. Everybody is self-made, but only the successful will admit it. Everybody is self-made, but only the successful will admit it. I personally, in my heart, I believe in reincarnation. I believe we come to this, you know, this realm multiple times to learn things we must learn that only can be learned through a human journey. You know, struggles, tribulations, challenges, all these things. And I feel like some people go through their journey and they learn and some people don't. And some people have to go through things and sometimes they wake up and sometimes they don't. But no matter where you're at, it's always your responsibility. You know, Eric Thomas said, you know what, I can understand if somebody's stronger than you and they knock you down and you up on the floor, okay, I can understand that. But if I come back 10 years later and you still on the floor complaining, bro, that was 10 years ago. That was 20 years ago. So there's got to be a time where you say, okay, things did happen. You know, I had it a certain way. But there's got to be a time where it shifts to okay, them to okay, me. What am I going to do about it now? So take responsibility. Everybody's self-made, but only the successful will admit it. Boom. All right, let's get another share. Who's got a share? Thumbs up. Smile. Armani. Let's get it. Let's get it, Armani.
What's up, guys? It's Armani. One that really got me was he was talking about just staying focused. You know, sacrifice now, and everything that you're putting into to sacrifice, like family time, going out with social life, is gonna pay off later and be repaid a lot better or in higher amounts. So that's one thing that really sticks to me, because working like a full-time job, and like yesterday I got out of work and went straight to a client's house to drop off products, then went to another client's house, did a weigh-in, then went to one more client teaching the marketing plan. So everyone got, you know, nuggets. I didn't get home till 12 o'clock at night, and I got off work at 7:30. So it's nonstop grind.
There you go. And Armani, that's exactly what it takes. Good job. It will work. It will pay off. And one thing I'll tell you guys that really stuck out for me, Garen Jones said, he said, it's not a grind, it's a flow. Because if you think of a grind is hard. A grind is stressful. But a flow is easy. A flow is going to the house and telling people. A flow is meeting new people and telling people. A flow is who you are. It's kind of like you ever played a game and you got in the zone where it wasn't a grind to get to the basket if it was basketball or catch that pass if it was football. You were almost in flow. You were in the zone. Things slowed down. They became easier. You made moves without having to overthink it. Flow over force will get you where you want to go. Dope. Great share, Armani. Let's get one more share. Who's got a share for us? Thumb up. Smile. Mo Yim. Let's get it, Mo. Hit him with it.
Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Moses from Seattle, Washington, and yeah, man, that was a great video. One of my key takeaways that always stuck in my head was that your journey is never over. You know, there's multiple examples of people who hit older age that go on to do great things. So no matter where you're at, what you're doing right now, your journey's never over, and your impact is never over, and the impact that you can leave on this world is never over. Garen Jones says it all the time. If you woke up today, you're still being worked on. So let's find our flow, y'all. Thanks.
Epic. Your journey is never over. Love it. It's if you're still here, you're still waking up, there's still purpose inside of you. And he kind of touched on that too, Barrack, when he was talking about the tenure. Professionals that have tenure, they getting up with fire to bring that value every day. And I'll tell you, look around at people that live purposeful. You know some people in your life, and you probably know some people in your life that don't live purposeful. Look around and just ask yourself, are they happy? Are they happy? Even inside of Herbalife, I look around and there's some people that are still active after they hit President's Team above, and there's some people that aren't. And I'll tell you, there just seems to be a different level of energy. I just ran into 30K senior executive President's Team, Michael Katz, in the gym. He's been with Herbalife over 30 years. He came to do our supervisor school, which is a leadership training in our Herbalife team. And the month before, he did 16,000 personal volume points, him and his wife, Debbie. And I only did 12 with Roxy. I was like, this dude is a beast, man. But you know what? That's because he's still working, helping people. Because it's not about the work. It's that's who he is. He's still working on himself. He's still being purposeful. So always working on ourselves, being in the flow. I'm going to give people that tuned in a little late a little quick view. And also the sun is coming out. So live from the JW Marriott here in San Antonio. Look at that view, baby. Those are the San Antonio. It looks like a forest. But we're on the JW Marriott Resort. About to get into our first day of Future President's Team Retreat training with Herbalife Nutrition. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to tell you guys one thing I took from this training already, and we haven't even started, is we get to travel the whole world because Herbalife is the whole world. I've been with the company for 4 years. My first year, I went to Boca Raton. I qualified. We were at the resort in Boca Raton, Florida, where Tony Robbins does the Unleash the Power Within. And Date with Destiny, he does this huge event there. It's a whole resort, like campus. Next year was in Las Vegas at the Red Rock Resort. Whole resort in Vegas on like the outskirts. Third year was at the JW Marriott in Los Angeles. Beautiful, one of the best buildings in LA. Fourth year is here in San Antonio at the JW Marriott, and it's beautiful in here. And it's like I was just thinking to myself, we get to travel the whole world because Herbalife is the whole world. Everywhere we go, I'm talking to people that work here at JW, like, yeah, I tried Herbalife a few years ago. It's because we are the global nutrition brand. And just think about it, on your journey, what other journey would I be able to go to every part of the country and soon to be the world and just be able to experience all these places, not only by myself, but with friends and family. We were just in the gym with all kind of Herbalife friends. And it's so awesome because it's really, that's what it takes. It's like, you know how football teams travel and basketball teams travel? It's like the Herbalife team traveling. So it's so dope. I hope you guys are having a great Monday morning, getting some vision out here. And I can't wait for you guys that want to, if you're not on your nutrition program and just here in Herbalife, get your results, because that's what we're about. If you're a coach on the team and you're excited to just keep growing, get in your flow, doing that, and maybe you're like, yo, one day I want to be at that Future Press Team Retreat training. Maybe one day I want to be in those rooms. Maybe one day I want to be getting those nuggets and traveling the world. Check out the IG stories and the Snapchats of me, Roxy, but everybody. You got Enrique Carrillo, Garen Jones. Everybody's here. Check out the snaps. Get that vision planted in your mind, because if you want it, what you think about, you bring about. So if you can see it in advance, you can give your brain more images, and your mind thinks in images, and that's how it creates your future. That's your mental GPS. So let's get it, y'all. I'm going to take everybody off mute. Give me some energy first thing in the morning. Let's get it. Happy Monday, y'all. Time to get to this training. Peace. Thanks for tuning in. Life.